everyone. Hello. This is Kinsey Elizabeth with the Empowerment Studio, and I am here to welcome you to our Real Self-Care Workshop. This is our second ever second ever Empowerment Studio workshop. I am so excited about this. Our last one was called 4 Ways to Revolutionize Your Relationship with Your Body. And I absolutely loved it. And during that one, we had an attendee's daughter, who was also an attendee, say, "What's your next workshop and when is it? And what are we doing?" And we came to the conclusion during that time that we should chat about self-care. And now here we are. It is February 1st. Welcome to those of you who are here live. Thank you so much for being here. You're wonderful. And to those of you who are watching the replay, thank you so much for carving out time, all of you, from your busy schedules to be here. If you are watching the replay, I would love it if I could hear from you. Tag me on social media, post a screenshot if you want, or some big takeaway, or you can just send me a DM or an email. Just let me know that you have tuned in because I am really grateful. All right, let's kick this off. A big deep breath together. Taking this breath, I'd like to invite us to all be really present, to take excellent care of ourselves during this hour and a half that we have together. You can turn your phone on, do not disturb. Make sure you've got some water around. And then let's take a breath. In through your nose and out through your mouth. All right. Welcome. Here we are. So we called this workshop out loud Real Self-Care, but that's the short title because our actual titles are Learn to Take Up the Space You Greatly Deserve and Stop Getting in Your Own Way and Take Some Dang Care of Yourself. It's definitely a mouthful, but this is the core of what we're doing here. This is the core of what we are talking about. And here's my question for you. Or what? What happens if we don't learn how to take up the space that we deserve? What happens if we don't, get out of our own way and learn how to actually take care of ourselves? Well, here's my question for you. What can happen in your life if you do actually figure out how to love yourself and how to welcome in some peace where you are right now? What can happen if you live this most blossomed, full, enriched, whole life, if you carve out the space for yourself, if you claim it? Look at what can happen. People blossom. You know what the sorts of people that I'm talking about, these people who it's like, wow, they're just so present in their identity. They know themselves. They ask for what they want. They get their needs met. And there's a blossoming that can happen in that. I have learned, especially through the process of making these workshop slides, that I really see self-care as a superpower. I think that the care we can pour into ourselves first has such epic ripple effects. And if we can really get to the crux of self-care, if we can really figure out what care looks like for us, then we become unstoppable. When your tank is full and not over full, right? We're not talking too much. We're not saying wow, you have so much that there's too much. We're saying when your tank is full, when you are resourced, when you have flexibility and you have stretch in your life, you can pivot. You can rock and roll with life's punches. I know this last month, January, was really hard on a lot of us for a lot of different reasons. Mental health and weather and everything. But I especially know for parents, this has been a doozy. We've had a lot of days out of school with our kids and everything. And looking around, the people who I've seen are able to just most easily bounce and pivot and shift with the circumstances are the people who are really well resourced. And I'm not just talking about financial resources or time resources. Definitely that is a factor and that's valid to consider, but there's also this other layer to it of just okay, people who have really intentionally poured some time and energy into asking for their needs to be met. And before that, figuring out what their needs are. So, hello, First of all, I'm just going to introduce myself. I am Kinsey. Many of you know me, but some of you may not. This is me right here in this photo with my gorgeous, gorgeous empowerment team. This is Libby and Donnie and David. We run the Empowerment Studio together. The Empowerment Studio is part boudoir studio in Kansas City, Missouri, and part community. And in the work that we do, we guide our humans to see themselves in revolutionary and deeply kind ways. Now, I just hit my 11-year business anniversary, which kind of blows my mind. In that time, I have worked with thousands of people. I have photographed over 500. Over 500 humans have come into my studio and been photographed by me. And every single one of them has used that time, and we have worked to shift their relationship with their body together. In addition to that, we have been running the Selfie to Self-Love Empowerment Challenge for over 5 years now. We're going to have another one coming up in May, I think. So keep your eyes out for that. And through that, hundreds of people have learned to take up space and see themselves in a new way through selfies and through community. And then we have done community. We've done Facebook groups. We've done private membership community. We've done in-person meetups. We have done every version of connection and overlap together. And at this point, I really have experienced a lot of people's empowerment journeys. I feel very honored. So tonight, you are in the right place if you often feel like others' needs always come before your own. If you've heard of self-care and you've tried some things, you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to try this. I'm going to take that bubble bath, or I'm going to, set a boundary, but it's helped for a few minutes. And then you're like, wait, hang on, I'm still not deeply supported and calm and nourished the way that I crave. You are in the right place if you know you want more support, but you don't know what that would look like. We're going to dig in and do some brainstorming tonight. And you're also in the right place if you are ready to feel more energized and content. But how? How do we do this? Okay, this is the work that we're gonna at least start in on tonight, right? This is life's work. This is ongoing, ever unfolding work. But we can get started, and I think that's really important. Sometimes we just got to get going. So we got to talk, because I think that there's a lot of messy stuff happening right now. There's a lot of people who are caught in a cycle of loving others and taking care of others at their own expense. And here's the thing, yes, we do have responsibilities to the people in our lives, right? We have social commitments, we have partnerships, we have children that are depending on us. And this is the thing, you can't just not feed your kids, right? You can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to not love my partner anymore. That's not what we're talking about here. But are you doing so from a place of depletion? Are you asking for your own needs to be met in return? Yeah, okay, so you can't pour from an empty cup. But I also hate this idea. This is maybe a little controversial, but I hate the idea of fill up your own cup first, so then you can fill up other people's. First of all, I'm like, okay, is the whole purpose of us filling up our own cup just so we can fill up other people's? Not that. And then there's also, I've got this mental image of this very, very full cup. Okay, cool. What if you've done the work and you've got this very full cup? And then it's so full that even when you go to do anything, just walk around with your full cup, it's going to spill out. So we're not actually aiming for all the way full either, right? We gotta find this kind of spacious balance. And that is going to be what helps us create something really sustainable. Pouring from a full cup or an empty cup, this has me always picturing the Star Tarot card. If you're familiar, oftentimes the imagery is of someone sitting with a pitcher that they're using to fill up other cups. And then they have another pitcher in their other hand, and they're using that to refill, but it's being refilled from the stream, from the source, right? It's constantly being refilled. And then this pitcher is constantly pouring out water. And that's what I'm curious about. How can we work to build a life that has that kind of symbiotic relationship where we are being poured into effortlessly so that we can pour into ourselves and we have the capacity to pour into others. That's part of what makes life really special to me, is that I am able to show up for people, but I'm not going to be able to do it if there's no water at all. But I'm also not going to be able to pour into myself that way. Here's the thing, self-care is not going to come from anyone but you. It's easy to think, okay, well, I'll get this book, or I'll make sure, I'll budget for a babysitter, and then I'll be able to do self-care. Those are the surface level. Those are the tangibles. What we got to do is dig in deeper. We got to figure out what's underneath all of that, because you are trustworthy. Ultimately, it's got to come from you. And that's where it's all going to ripple out from. But the good news is we don't have to do this alone, okay? Now, here's where I'd like to take you, right? I feel like it's pretty easy, even if you think of yourself as someone who's like more self-care minded, to be like, yeah, okay, but I can't really, do this all the time, or I can't make time for it, or I don't have the resources for it all the time. I wish, okay? But then there's this little Jeremy Bearimy journey that we are all going to go on. And this is a little bit during the course of this workshop, but this is also going to be our life's work, the work within the empowerment studio that we can do together, that we are going to figure out how to fill up all these different parts of ourselves, how to create a more sustainable and regenerative life so that we can have our needs met on a day-to-day basis. And I think that these ups and downs are going to be so much easier to navigate through if we do them in community. So we're going to go from self-care, I wish, we're going to go on a journey together, to I am worthy of self-care, and I know how to do it, and my needs are met. That's where we're headed. That's our North Star. So here's what we're doing together. We're going to excavate our needs. We can't do everything on this list today, but we're going to start. Okay, we're going to start to dig in to what our actual needs are. Partially, we can't do it because we only have an hour, right? But we also we can't do it because this is the sort of thing that has to unfold over time. So we're going to start to plant some seeds to help us dig in and figure out what's coming. We are also going to get super clear about what kind of next steps you want to take to make your life better and more holistically supported. And we're also going to put it down on paper, like all of these thoughts and downloads that we're getting today, so that we can look back at that and think, okay, what are my actual needs? What are my wants? What are my desires? What's important to me? And how am I going to make this happen? I've got a place to turn to. So today in this workshop, we are going to go through these 5 steps. We're going to, first of all, recognize in the first place that we are worthy of self-care. Then, number 2, we're going to dream big. We're going to sit down and we're going to just figure out what our lives could be if the sky's the limit here. Then we're going to explore on a more practical level how this might show up in our lives. Number 4, we are going to build community. We're going to explore this concept of community to help support you in this plan. And then step number 5, get honest about what's in your way. I think it's pretty easy to, well, I'll get to that, but it's pretty easy to be like, yeah, cool, I've got all this figured out. But if we've still got our stumbling blocks there, it's going to be tricky. Okay, so make sure you have your journals or your paper, your pen, your little tippy tappies, whatever it is that you're going to do. I've got mine right here. Step 1, we are going to recognize that we are worthy of self-care. So here is our very first exercise that we are going to journal. So you have 2 options here, okay? And this is kind of like, I had an idea and then I was like, okay, but what if someone's at like a different place with this mentally? So 2 options. Option number 1, you can write a letter to yourself from the perspective of someone who really cares about you. That even could be you. Could be like, dear Kinsey, love Kinsey. Okay, but you can write a letter to yourself, be kind and encouraging, root for them, Tell them how worthy they are of good things. Okay, this is like you stepping outside of yourself, looking at yourself through this lens and saying, what what do I need to hear right now? Okay? Root for yourself. Or that might feel like a stretch. You might be like, "Whoa, I am not there yet." Okay, that's cool. Then here's what we're going to do. You are going to then brainstorm a list of the people and the contexts whose lives will be positively impacted by the ripple effects of you leveling up your self-care game. Put another way, if I take better care of myself, what else is going to get better? If I take care of myself, will my kids have a better, more nourished parent? Will I show up more fully at work, right? Etc. So write a loving letter to yourself, or think about the ripple effects. Who's going to be affected? Who's going to be supported by you getting more self-care? All right, we're going to take about 3 minutes to do this, and I will ease us out of our time. I'm going to do it right along with you. I will let you know when we're winding down. About 1 more minute. All right. Now, please know you are always welcome to come back to that activity. But for now, we are going to move on to the next part of our workshop. Now, here's something I want to think about with this, right? Worthiness of self-care. And this one might be a little tough to hear for some of you, but I'm curious, can you stop looking for proof that it can't get better? Can you stop being in your own way from the possibility, from the work happening? Are you open and willing to consider that things might change for the better? Like, do you really believe that? Because if you don't, then there's maybe some pretty core work here that's worth poking at. You are worthy of poking at it, by the way. And it's really hard to do this. Let me phrase this a different way. It's so much easier to do this, to believe that it's possible, to believe that things can get better if you surround yourself in an environment where you are encouraged to remember that you are worthy. Okay. I have found so much worthiness by being in community with people who also see their own worth and also see mine. It's so supportive. It's a mutually symbiotic relationship of worth and support and love and nurturing. And when I'm in this environment with these people who believe in me like I believe in them, there's so much more that is possible. We can do it better together. That's a lot of what we do in the Empowerment Studio, right? We do a lot of work. We've been doing this for years in the Empowerment Studio. In fact, we happen to specialize in the brain retraining, right? We are like, okay, how can we shift our context so that we understand that these changes are possible? How can we practice trying something new, trying a new way of believing in things, so that then we have a beautiful, cozy, indulgent, fun playground where we can explore our identities. We get present in our bodies. Photo shoots especially are huge for this, but also in-person group community experiences where you just get to drop into your body, where you get to feel what it feels to feel good energetically and also realize that you are existing in your body. And then we like to have a little bit of photo proof of these things. Whitney, you are a gorgeous human. Wow, that's from our nymph set. We love to create a fantasy explosion in the Empowerment Studio. Set building is one of me and Donnie's specialties together. And I don't know, it's kind of cool to create a set that is so epic and so specific that it allows us to transport into another world. It's kind of what we do in general with the photography in the Empowerment Studio. All right, step 2. You ready? We're going to dream big about what our lives could be. Okay, so imagine, right? We've found some worthiness. We may not be 100% there yet. Like I said, that's a muscle that takes practice. It's going to take time. But what could our life be? How can we unfold it? What do we want it to be? Oh, well, Libby, there's that audio that I was looking for. I don't know. Can you all hear that? The audio played so loud for me, but I think it's actually, let me see. Hold on. Okay, great. You didn't hear audio. That was very loud in my ears. Perfect. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to dream big about what our life can be. Okay. So we are going to do some free writing. We're going to do some brain dumping. We're going to do some just like melting into our paper here. And I want us to think about how implementing self-care can change, will change our lives in the next year. I want you to write and paint the picture of what your life is like. So we are zooming a year forward. Write it in the present tense. You could even use the format. My coach Steph uses the format. It's December 31st, 2024. It's December 31st, 2024. What a year it's been. I can't believe what an amazing year it's been. I really upped my self-care game, and this is what my life looks and feels like now. All right? We're gonna take another couple minutes, and we're gonna do some more free writing. Zoom forward a year. Imagine you've been on a journey, you've done this work. What does your life look like? What does your life feel? What is good? All right, take another 30 seconds. All right. Remember, you can always come back to this later. I find this a really beautiful tool to come back and look at every so often to remind yourself of what you want, of what's possible, of how good it will feel, how worthy this work is to put in. And here's the thing, we can't predict the future. I know that that's true. I know we have no idea really of knowing what it's going to be like in a year. But that expression, shoot for the moon, even if you fall, you'll land among the stars. Let's use this as our North Star. This is our compass. We're pointing in that direction. And then even if we don't end up exactly there, we're going to be making choices along the way that are aligned with this beautiful way of life that we can envision for ourselves. Let's stop holding ourselves back before we even begin. I think that if we go about this work without a North Star, it's pretty easy to get lost along the way. It's like setting out on a road trip and you don't set your GPS. You don't put the address in, and like you might eventually get somewhere cool, but it may not be the place that has everything that you're looking for. Give yourselves a chance. And then I'm going to just keep coming back to community here. Surround yourselves with others who are also in dream big mode, because you will believe more in your ability to make this stuff happen and to dream big and imagine what could be possible if you're around others who are doing this as well. In the Empowerment Studio, our dreams grow together. I have seen it so many times that someone has been on some sort of epic evolution path, right? And they're pouring into themselves inspires other people to do the same, or maybe even sets off a ripple journey in their own lives. So the more we can put ourselves in these contexts of humans who are all taking incredible care of themselves and each other, the more we're going to be able to make this happen. And if stuff gets in our way, then we can figure that out together as well, right? If you're with people who are wanting to figure this stuff out, then we can all problem solve together. We can practice saying no. We can practice saying yes. We can practice asking for our needs to be met. We do a whole lot of that in the Empowerment Studio. So, okay, time for our next journaling exercise. I am just it's amazing. Like I know Libby and I created these exercises together, and so you'd think, but I'm like getting so much out of it too. So I really hope that you are as well. I'd actually love to hear in the comments if you feel like commenting and just letting me know any of these things that are coming up for you. I'd love to hear if there's any big dreams or if you're having any big epiphanies or ahas. Or you can even just drop an emoji like a heart in there just to say you're vibing. And now step 3, we're going to explore how self-care might show up in all these different areas of your life. Or if you want to look back at this future dreaming, maybe there's a vibe that you kept coming up against over and over. Like I kept writing about lightness, feeling light and open-hearted and spacious. And so maybe that's kind of my version of what self-care is, if that's what my North Star is. So I'm curious, how might these concepts of self-care show up in all these different areas of your life? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take about 30 seconds for each of these boxes, and you can change these to be whatever you want them to be. If you are not vibing with one of these words, let's say work is not vibing for you, you can say daily life, right? Or, maybe family is kind of a sticky word in your brain, but maybe you write chosen family, or maybe you write friends. But we're going to take these 6 different buckets, and we're just going to think, okay, how could self-care show up in my life in all of these different ways? What does it look like if you pour some care for yourself into your family life? Another way to think of this could be, how do I want this area of my life to look and feel in a year, in this future vision? Okay, move on to the next category. Category number 2, I'm doing physical health. Okay, I'm going to let you just keep self-guiding through. So go ahead and move on to another one, and then another one, and then another one. I'll wrap this up in about a minute, minute and a half. All right, everyone. Now, don't overwhelm yourself with this. It's pretty easy to look at this list and be like, well, it's nothing like what my life is like right now. So where do I begin? Okay, that's part of what we're going to be doing next. We're going to take a look. Just go ahead and scan over right now and just pick one of these categories that you want to start pouring into more. Which one do you think you want to just start throwing a little bit of energy at first? This is all possible. We gotta create the right context for ourselves to make these things happen. And I think that community can really help support you in your plan. Now, I just want to chat a little bit about community. First of all, this is very cute. This is from an empowerment party. It's a group empowerment studio photo shoot. This was for our winter solstice set. And we had the most incredible group of humans who, many of whom had not met each other before. And this is like by the end, they were all like, yeah, let's take this group picture like this. And it's really pretty incredible what happens when you opt into community. And then we did intention setting and dreaming together. And it really felt like this intentional chosen community was really supportive of what we wanted, what we needed in that moment. So this is a chunk of my community. These are all humans who, most of whom I've met because of the internet, actually, that we've become like in-person people. But there's something really special. So Audra and I met about 5 years ago now, just a little over 5 years ago. And they moved a couple blocks, like a block and a half away. David now lives just 6 blocks away from us at the studio. He lives up on the 3rd floor of the studio. Here's Donnie, one of my partners. This is Audra's partner, Brett. It's a really special thing that we've got going on. We've got this, and it ripples out to more humans than just these. This is just a very cute picture that I found of all of us. But there's this really cool thing that happens where support systems are like, we've created something really big and beautiful here. So if there's a day off of school, then who's able to help take care of the kids, and who's making sure that food is happening, and what kind of needs are showing up, and how can we meet them together? I've noticed over and over and over again that that community, the way that we are doing it, is really beautiful. Now, here's the thing that I would like to point out. So a lot of you know we are polyamorous, like many of the people in our community are poly. But that's not a required aspect for this kind of really deep mutual support. But what happened is, when you are doing a more intricate relationship structure, we all had to get really communicative and critical about how we were building our lives. And that intentionality is something that I think has done a really huge job of welcoming in these additional support systems. So I feel like I've got a lot of big thoughts around how these support systems and these structures can actually be applied to any sort of relationship structure or community scene. So much of it is about asking for your needs to be met, having firm boundaries, feeling capable of saying no. Something that Audra and I talk about very specifically quite often is how good it feels to ask something of the other person, because we trust that the other person will say no if it's not right for them. And that's not something that we have access to in a lot of our, more extended relationship connections, right? So often you're like, oh, I really need help and support in this area. I wish I could ask this person if they could watch my kid for me, for example, right? But if you ask them, they are going to bend themselves over backwards to say yes. In this like one specific hypothetical situation, right? They would bend themselves over to say yes, even if it's not aligned for them. And then they're compromised and they're working from a place of depletion, and then they're under-resourced, and then they're maybe not able to show up in some other way that you were already counting on them or something, right? But in this context where we are trusting of our people to say no, to hold their own boundaries really beautifully, it's so much easier to be like, hi, Audra, could you pick my kid up from school for me? Because my schedule got really strapped today. And they can say, you know what, that actually does not work for me. Let me help you brainstorm what might be some other options, right? David has brought PFN into our community. That's something I would love to offer up to you all. PFN is prepared for the no. We very often will just attach PFN to a request like, hey, could you swing by here and do this thing with me? PFN. And then it's really easy to be like, oh, actually, no, I cannot do that. But it also makes me much more likely to want to say yes when I'm like, oh, I'm not being demanded of. Like, how can I actually just show up in a way that feels really good and aligned if that's what I want to do? You got to find your people. Gotta find your people. This is crucial. You all might recognize this space. This is the part of the first floor of the Empowerment Studio. And this is a very funny photo. This is like another layer of community, right? Like David is a person that I know through friends and through, adult grown-up contexts, and then through like Empowerment Studio. But because of how we are so woven together in community, he's also built a huge relationship and bond with my kid who is sitting here. And there was one day I came downstairs from working and my kid had built this amazing like obstacle course for themselves. And my kid and David were just sitting there like having a chat. And it was really beautiful to realize that both of these versions of community that I've very intentionally built for myself then were able to cross over and blossom into other support and care systems. We're not meant to do this alone. And something that's really important is that you are allowed to opt in to existing community. You don't have to create this all from the ground up yourself, right? There's a lot of different ways you can build community through, you can go to existing events or social circles that are existing, like different community things that you like, shared interest groups or things like that. You don't have to like meet a whole bunch of individual people and pull them together. You can opt into a system that is already flowing and working. So that all said, I would really like to start to brainstorm building in community into our own lives here, okay? So this is a living, breathing process. There's no one right solution for every single person. So let's give ourselves some space to figure it out and to try some things. So let's explore. This is another Empowerment Studio gathering. I love every time Empowerment Studio humans come together. I feel like we just have such a good vibe, and it's really beautiful. I've got a quote later on from Kristen, who's in this picture. Hello, Kristen. Talking about how beautiful it is to show up and know that you are gonna be accepted exactly as you are. It's a huge thing about the Empowerment Studio. So let's do an exercise, okay? Let's write down what's worked, or you can even just think this one. But think through times of your life when you have had community that's felt really aligned, when you have been like, okay, cool, yeah, I'm vibing, I'm flowing, I'm easily meeting new people, I feel accepted, I feel at home. You could even say in the comments what sorts of times those have been. What's coming up for me is like living contexts that have been more inherently social. Like when I was in college, for example. But think through what has felt aligned in the past. And then let's get our journals back out And we're going to write an I want list. This is an exercise inspired by one of our community members, Nicholas. What do you want? Okay, you can write, I want a group of people to have dinner with every Sunday. I want people who I can meal prep with. I want people I can go to when I'm in a pinch. I want someone to watch sports with, right? Like what are the different things? And you can even write I wants around things that you already have, but what do you want? Another 20 seconds. All right. Remember, you do not have to create this from the ground up. Reach out to connections that you've already got and see if any of those people are interested in doing community with you in a way that you are interested in doing it. Get creative, post on social media, maybe in your local Buy Nothing group. Say, I'm really hoping for someone who I can do meal prep with every Sunday. Or I need someone who can body double with me more often. I want a potluck group, right? If you know what you want, then you can start to ask for it. Okay, now we got to get honest. What's in our way? Because do you remember these buckets here, right? We did all of this brainstorming of what we want it to look like. And before that, we did that really beautiful dreaming of what we would love for our lives to feel like and look like in a year's time. But how are you gonna get out of your own dang way? How are we gonna make this happen? What shifts do you need to make? Because if you're like most of us, and I am saying this to myself as much as I am saying it to everyone here, if you're like most of us, what you have been trying has not been working. So what's next? Do you need to change your environment? Do you need to make an effort to shift some of your social circle? Do you need to build a social circle? Do you need to put yourself in a context surrounded by people who want to dream big with you? Do you need to do the internal work to realize that you're worthy of taking up space? How are you going to do that? Can you do it alone? It's worse to do it alone. I will say that. It's definitely worse to do it alone. And I want to say, because this is really important to note. This is all stuff that we are working on doing on a ground level, while we are also collectively working on changing the systems that are oppressing us, that are in our way. There are some really enormous societal structures that are keeping us from having our needs met in a more ground rooted, scalable sort of way. And we can't fix them today, right now, by ourselves. And so that's why I want to look at what do we have control over? What can we change? Can we, on a really grassroots level, make some change so that that will have some ripple effects and we can start making our lives better now while we are working on making this other change happen? Because we deserve to survive and we also deserve to thrive. We deserve to thrive. See, this little star Post-it note says so. So how are you going to do this? How are you going to get out of your way? Allow yourself to get honest here. Don't keep doing what's not been working. Get creative. Give yourself the support that you need. Okay. Now, I'm in a big growth space right now. I'm evaluating a lot of things, a lot of systems and, parts of my life, rhythms and routines are just feeling at odds. I think what happened is that I have done some growing and my life systems have not grown along with myself yet. Right? So that means some changes need to happen. But I've been kind of noodling on these changes for a while and I've been like, oh, I want to start doing this. I want to stop doing this. I want to welcome this in. But these changes are not physically happening because I'm still trying the same thing that isn't working. So I'm also looking at this and thinking, okay, what do I need to do to get creative here? What do I have to do to welcome in? How am I doing things the way I have always been doing them or the way I think I'm supposed to be doing them? And how should I actually be doing them? What's actually right for me? That's what I want to know. In the new empowerment experience that we're launching right now, today, I've got all sorts of additional resources already created, including this. This is like a workshop that the concept of it is build a business plan, but for your life. You know how for business, you're like, okay, what are our intentions and how do we do this and how does X, Y, and Z happen and how do we show up in this area on social media and how do we show up in marketing, blah, blah, blah. I had this concept of how do we create a business plan, but for our lives? So I want to take the same dreaming that we're doing and break it down into these buckets, but then break it down even further and create an actionable plan, create a life plan that's going to get us closer and closer. This is just a tiny sneak preview of one of the resources that's going to be available in the new empowerment experience that we're launching that I'm really excited about. And I think there's a lot of things like this that are going to be really supportive in community of us breaking this stuff down and figuring out how to actually make it happen, how to implement. So here's what we did today. Woo, big journey. Recognize your worth and actually start to believe it. I really encourage you to go back and read your letter to yourself or review the list of humans who, if you start pouring into yourself, you're going to change their lives as well as your own. We dreamed big, and then we started to figure out how that could show up in different areas of our life. What does 5% look like? What does just that one next little step look like? Can we retrain our brains around this? We can't wave the magic wand and land where we're wanting to be in a year, but what does the next step look like? Can we go there together? Talked about community, coming together. We don't have to do this alone. The more we are supported, the more we are able to support others and also support ourselves. And we got to be honest about what's in our way. So in the empowerment studio, when we've done community together, when we come together in Facebook groups or in our online spaces, when we come together for togetherness time, when we brainstorm and problem solve in community, we are able to excavate our needs. We're able to get really clear about our next steps. We create a playground to practice these things. We do them in community. We can figure this stuff out together. I've seen it happen so many times that people come into my studio for a photo shoot, and through the process, they realize, they know that they are safe to speak up for their needs, to ask for what they want. And it's still hard to do, but I see people go, okay, but I am supposed to do this here. So I am going to ask for this thing that I want, even though asking for it feels really scary. Maybe it looks like saying, no, I don't like this backdrop looking the way it is, or this pose is not going to be comfortable for my body, or I actually don't want to do behind the scenes pictures like I said I did, right? Wow, that's vulnerable. It's scary. And then when they do it in this context of the empowerment studio, it's really incredible to see how people kind of blossom. They're like, okay, I did that thing that was really scary for me. And not only did I do it and the world didn't end, but actually it resulted in me getting my needs met. Whoa, that's huge, right? This is so much of what we do here in the empowerment studio is we practice getting our needs met. We practice figuring out what they are in the first place, creating a space where we don't have all of the outside life stressors, and we can just dig into our needs and our wants and our desires, and then we can work on getting them met together. And then, of course, we love to show that next version of ourselves, that becoming, that who we are next in photos, so that we have a chance to see that outside of ourselves, see it reflected back to us. So now you have an opportunity here, right? You can keep doing your thing, right? We've got all of this brainstorming work. You can plug away at it and, you know, get really critical of the stuff that's in your way. You can do this on your own. I believe in you. You will get there eventually. You will. And that's definitely one way. But the way that I see as a accelerator is to come do this work in community with the Empowerment Studio. Here's my thought, right? It's like you can go hike a mountain all by yourself, for sure. But you can also hire a tour guide that's going to be like, oh, hey, there's some bears over there. We should probably not go that way. And, oh, I've got your map for you. And, oh, right, you need a water break. And, okay, cool, let's keep going on this in this direction, right? The tour guide is going to help you get there. It's going to help you navigate the challenges that you might run into. The tour guide can help you stay on track and remind you of what your goal is and which direction you're going. And not only that, right? I'm the tour guide here. The empowerment team is the tour guide that's here to help you, guide you along this process. But you also don't have to go hiking alone. You can grab a whole crew to go on this mountain climb with you. And then not only are you being guided there, but you also have a chance to, you know, call on a mutual support system. So if someone is hungry, someone else brought extra snacks, right? The more you see, like, yes, you can hike this mountain on your own, and I hope you will get there, and you probably will. It might take you a while, and you might need more breaks. You might hike the wrong direction for a while, but then you can get back on course. Or you can go on a guided path with humans who are going to support you. And that is what this work is in the Empowerment Studio. So Kaithra is one of the people I was actually thinking about when I was talking about posing and speaking up for her needs in the studio. There were certain poses that she's like, oh, my body is not meant to do that. And so we immediately were able to pivot and do something different. She also had a very specific view for herself for hair and makeup. And when she first looked at her makeup, she kind of like flicked her eyes over at me, and she was like, and I was like, oh, I wonder if it's not exactly what you're looking for. What are you looking for? And Kaithra was like, well, I don't know exactly. But we gave her the time and space to figure it out. And then eventually she's like, I think it's too femme. It's too like femme presenting. And then immediately within 2 minutes, the makeup artist is able to make some adjustments. gave her the exact look. Then she looked at herself in the mirror and she's like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I wanted. I look like myself. This is exactly what I wanted, right? So Kythra wrote after her session, that's one of the most profound things I took away from my time in the empowerment studio, knowing that I don't have to settle for something that's not right, that I can ask for adjustments or changes, ask for it beyond the session. Take up space. Don't settle for something that doesn't work when you know there are options. You are worth advocating for. And then here's dear Libby. Libby has had several really revolutionary experiences in the empowerment studio. Here she said, working with Kinsey specifically is very special to me. They are so intuitive and can tell when I'm feeling present in my body and when I'm feeling a little more in my head. And they have a way of coaching me back into that in my body space, which is what it's all about. And now in my everyday life, I am able to do that for myself in a way that I wasn't able to do before. The Empowerment Studio experience continues to pay off in my day-to-day life. And then Kristen, whoo, Kristen, your photos are gorgeous. I have gotten to photograph Kristen so many times. I am a lucky duck. Kristen, when asked about the Empowerment Studio, she said, I have been a member for a while, and the best part of the Empowerment Studio is that when you join, you go in knowing that you have a huge thing in common with everyone already. You are free to be whoever you feel like in the very moment without fear of being judged or spoke about behind your back. It's an anxiety reducer, which is hard to find in today's climate. So I would say that the version of community that we do is by default really awesome. We do kindness, we do acceptance, we do inclusion really, really well. So I've been talking so much about this new Empowerment Studio experience that we are welcoming in 2024 to the Empowerment Studio. Now, you all know that we do photography, right? Boudoir photography is our jam. Ashley is gorgeous. That's another thing that we know. So you know, this is the tool that we have used for 11 years now to guide clients through this self-worth and self-care and taking up space stuff. This is where we have created the practice playground for you to strengthen your boundary muscles. This is where you've been able to come in and really see yourself. And community, this is where you do the exploratory work. This we do really, really well as well. This is where you build community. You come together with a hive mind of folks who get you. Bigger growth is possible in community. We have seen it over and over again. And so this new empowerment experience is a combination of the two. This is the culmination of everything we have been working for all these years. We are combining potent, beautiful portrait photography, and we are combining that with community, the way the Empowerment Studio does it. This is the experience of a session that happens with the growth work that happens in community. Okay, now Libby has actually talked about her first boudoir experience with the Empowerment Studio, which the first time she ever came into a session, it was not this photo. The first time she ever came in, she had like just found me through a model call. And she was like, okay, this person seems to claim that they're size inclusive and okay, cool. Let's see what they've got, right? Sure. And then they came in and they actually had a really transformative experience during their session. They were like, she was like, oh, wait, this is actually great. Oh no, I think I'm going to love these photos. Oops, wait, okay, this isn't quite like as bad as I thought it was going to be, right? Okay, so there was like that happened and it was beautiful. We made lovely photos. I think she really enjoys looking back at those, right? But then after years of Empowerment Studio work, Libby decided to come back and do another session. And this is after community, after connection, after poking at her brain, after doing some big like body liberation work in togetherness in the empowerment studio. And then Libby came back in for her second session, and holy cow, there was this amazing moment where Libby was like, I remember this so vividly. She was like on her knees on the bed in the empowerment studio. And I saw something like shift, and then she felt it shift. And she goes, hang on, time out. I got in my head. I'm all caught up in my head. And I was like, okay, cool. We just got to get back to ourselves here then. Let's take some deep breaths. Let's do a flow pose. And so we ended up like just together without even doing pictures at first, like doing a flow pose. And it was because of that self-awareness from the work that she'd been doing all of these years, right? And over the course of months leading up to her session, knowing that that was coming up, that her session was on this next level. I've often said, like, I can meet anyone wherever they are at. If you're down here, if you're like at this level and this is where you need support and this is where you need to feel seen, I will meet you there and we can like do some of this big lifty work together. But if you have been doing this work in community, if you've been doing the empowerment studio thing for a while, then I can meet you up here. And then we get to explore on this whole nother level. This is something that happens with repeat clients where I'm like, oh my gosh, you've already done a lot of the work. Now we get to play. Now we get to explode. Now we get to flow together, right? That's what you deserve. That's what I want for you. That's what I want for every single client who comes through the Empowerment Studio doors. I want you to feel like you've already been doing the work. You've already been practicing seeing yourself. And now you're ready to see yourself in this context, in the light of the Empowerment Studio. And so I'd like to introduce the Empowerment Experience. It's a playground to practice getting what you want. I'm really excited. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what's all involved. So we all know doing a session in the Empowerment Studio, we get to retrain our brains. This is like that stuff we talked about earlier, explore our identity, be really present and grounded, rooted in our body, feel our connection with ourselves, and we get to exist in photos. And in community, we practice recognizing our self-worth and actually starting to believe it. We get the capacity to dream bigger than we've ever been able to do before. We explore how self-care might show up in your life. We dream about what this could look like, and then we start to implement. We've got community going on, and then we've got a plan so we can start unfolding this together. What if those two could be combined? Now you get to do both with the Empowerment Experience, a 6-month empowerment adventure with friends. So what we are doing is we are combining community, 6 months of intimate small group community, online, some in person, with an epic photo shoot adventure, a photo shoot that you get to design your own experience, be witnessed in your becoming. All put together in the 6 months together. You're going to be in a crafted playground where we are going to just practice getting what you want. You get to practice figuring out what you want and then asking for it and having those needs met. You're gonna get to experience what it's like to have things going your way. This is a place where you get to be you. This is not you as a parent or you as a worker or you as a partner or you as a caregiver. This is where you get to come in and be you with no roles, no obligations, no expectations. You. Who are you? You get to be that version of yourself here. And if you don't know who that version of yourself is, then this is a really great place to explore. And we're doing this in the course of 6 months. We're going to be spending 6 months together because I want you to be able to have the time and the space to dig in, to practice, to expand with ease. I don't want you to feel like, oh, I've got to figure this out right now and then I have to implement it tomorrow and then No, this stuff takes time to like shift and craft a life and an identity that you feel aligned with. That takes time. Here's what I'm curious about. What do you want? What's missing? What do you want your life to feel like? Because this container is going to be a really beautiful space to figure it out. And not only to figure it out, but to believe it, to believe that you deserve it. Because what if it's not the time and the money, all these other things? What if that's not what's in your way? What if deep down you don't know what you want, or you do, but you don't think you deserve it? And then deep down, you're not letting yourself have it. By the time you come into the studio for your photo shoot, you will have a chance to practice being this bigger, taking up space, indulging in your needs version of yourself, so that when you come in, you get to be that version of yourself out loud, and then you get to see it. You get to have it reflected back to you. So what's included? Water first. All right. So what's included in the empowerment experience? And this is the body liberation experience tier. I'm going to get into some more details in a little bit, but let me give you the overview here. You are going to get to create, with my guidance, in a collaborative way, an epic dream photo shoot that shows you who you are. We're going to co-create it. We're going to style it together. It's a full-length solo session. This can be boudoir. It does not have to be boudoir. This is a one-on-one portrait session. We might create an epic fantasy adventure. You might be in a full ball gown or tuxedo or fairy wings. You might be in a sunflower field. We might be downtown. We might have backdrops. We might build a set for you at the Empowerment Studio. Who even knows, right? You're going to have this epic photo shoot that really shows who you are and who you are becoming. You're going to get all your digitals from your session included in this. That's just how we do. You are also going to get 6 months of community and support. So we're going to have 6 months of connecting online with this small group of people who are on this journey with you together. Within that, we're going to be doing guided selfie challenges. We're going to have journaling prompts, kind of like we've been doing all week in Self-Care Week. We're going to be like digging into our stuff and mucking around in there and figuring out what we want and what we don't want, and getting more clarity around who we are. And we're going to be practicing existing in photos, showing up in selfies, seeing ourselves from new angles, so that by the time you come into the studio, you have seen yourself so many different ways. And we are, again, able to like take things to that next level. We're also going to have a monthly group activity, which I'm really excited about. It's going to be a lot of different things. And I don't even have any like specific promises for you of what it's going to be, because to an extent, it's going to be group led. We're going to figure out what the group wants to do together. But I'm picturing things like maybe a vision board party. I've even talked with one person who has joined about the idea of maybe having like a collaborative vision board of like what the group wants. Maybe we create a vision together. I've got these different workshops. There's like the business plan for your life. There's all these different things. So we've got all these different ways that we can come together and connect in person. One of those things, I'm going to skip over here to the right, is going to be an empowerment party. So we're going to come together and have multiple chances to be photographed. In addition to this epic dream photo shoot, you're also going to get to come in for like a mini session and see yourself in different ways and have multiple experiences of seeing yourself from the outside through my loving eyes. And then we are also going to be having this living content library. We're going to have videos for you. Coloring book pages. David had the idea of a self-care tracker coloring book page. So you can like color in when you've done the thing each day or something. We'll figure out what that looks like. I'm very personally excited for that specifically. We've got other workshops for you. I've got interviews. There's going to be some interviews coming up for this around boundary setting and around polyamory, if that's something that you're interested in. This is going to be a living content library, though, so it's going to be growing and evolving based on who is in the group and what they want and need. So that's the empowerment experience. By the end of the 6 months, you will have the experience of knowing what you want in the context of your photo shoot as well, but in many more contexts too. And you'll have a ton of experience calling the shots. And then you'll be able to call on that strengthened skill set. It's like we are this playground. We get to do some like muscly workouts together, practicing boundary setting, practicing asking for what we want. And then you'll be able to pull on that strengthened skill set when your life presents you with a situation where you need to or get to be in charge. You can say, I've done this before. I've spoken up about my needs. I got them met. I know how this works. That muscle is strong now, and I can do that again. Now, some of you know we also build some really epic sets. This is the build of our nymph set. A couple of years ago now. I've been feeling like it might be coming back at some point here. Who knows what we'll be getting up to over these next 6 months? There's definitely going to be some adventure and some shenanigans. So, you know, who really knows what these next what all might additionally, you know, be a part of this empowerment experience, right? So you're probably like, Kinsey, how much does this all cost? What's the deal here? So here we go. So all of these things included, including this epic full dream photo shoot, which a photo shoot is normally between $4,500 and $6,000 in the empowerment studio alone without all of this group context. But in addition to that, you're also getting 6 months of community and support. You're also getting the weekly prompts to help you with your growth work, monthly group activities to come together, connect, build community with people who live near you, photo shoots where you get to come in and have such an incredible time being photographed with other people, and this living content library that you will have access to. Now, so we are not kicking off the group program until April. So actually it was going to be like, 6 months long, and therefore it's a 6-month payment plan, but we actually can stretch it out a little bit further. So right now, if you get signed up like right now during this launch, it can be an 8-month payment plan, 8 monthly payments of $750. Or if you want to pay in full, you can do that a couple different ways. You might just have the money saved, in which case you can pay in full that way. But you can also self-finance with PayPal credit or, various other methods. Pay in full and then do your own payment plan on your own. And then you get a 10% discount. So your total is $5,400 instead of that $6,000. So the body liberation experience is $6,000 total. You can do 8 monthly payments of $750, or you can take advantage of that 10% discount and save $600. Now, I will also say, because there's only so many folks who I can do this like one-on-one photo shoot with. This is a huge adventure. We are co-creating and designing this session together. There's only so many hours in the week and in the month that I can do that. So I think we've got something going on here that's going to be pretty incredible, even without this photo shoot, right? The photo shoot is going to be really next level and very important for the folks who that's right for. And then I thought, okay, but the rest of this, can we open this up to more humans? So I explored, what if we get rid of that? Poof, you're still left with 6 months of community and support, weekly guided selfies and journaling prompts. We've got monthly group activity where we're coming together, interacting, building community, getting to know each other. You get access to this living content library, which you are going to help shape by your experience. And then also group photo shoot experiences. So you're still going to get chances to be in front of my camera. Okay, so that first one was the body liberation experience, and this is the community tier, which I'm also really excited about. The community tier is going to be $3,000 total, 8 monthly payments of $375. Or you also have the option to pay in full and get that 10% discount there as well. That's $300 off. So that would be a total of $2,700. I will also say that we are very fortunate. There's one person has funded a scholarship for the community tier, and the Empowerment Studio is going to take care of at least one more scholarship for reduced rates for the community tier. So reach out if cost is in the way, but you feel like this is really a good fit for you. We do have some accessibility here to some reduced rates, which I'm really excited about because I want everyone to be able to do this. So just to sum it up, the new empowerment experience, we've got the body liberation experience, which includes the dream self-designed one-on-one photo shoot. That's 8 monthly payments of $750. That's the photo shoot. And then the community prompts, growth work, monthly connection time, content library, group photo shoot experiences. We also have the community tier, which is 8 monthly payments of $375, which gets you that same incredible community, guided selfie and journaling prompts, all of the in-person connection, the online engagement, living content library as well, and then also the group photo shoot experiences. So you're going to get a chance to experience the Empowerment Studio and do this growth work and be in community and build connection, build relationships, make awesome stuff happen together in two totally different price points in 2 different ways. Now, we've got a fast acting bonus. If you join us by this upcoming Monday night at 11:59 p.m. Central, in addition to all of these things, you will also get to schedule a 1-hour call with me at any point during the 6 months of the program. Now, you can use this a lot of different ways. You can use this to hop on a call before one of the times you're getting photographed and talk through what you're wearing or what your experience might be like of getting photographed. We can plan out your dream photo shoot session during this call. Or you can use this to be like, hey, I'm bumping up against some weird stuff as I've been doing this journaling, and I would love your eyes and ears on this. Like, can you please support me in this growth work? Can we problem solve together? That's another very valid way to do that 1-hour call. But if you book in and join us in the empowerment experience by Monday evening, by midnight, Monday, February 5th, then you get to jump on a bonus call with me at any point during the 6 months of the program. Also, if you join within a week from today, you will get to join us for a welcome party. We're going to do an exercise, a workshop that I call What's Working, What's Not Working, and What Needs to Shift or Change. It's not a very short title, but it's a pretty excellent workshop, and people experience some pretty radical growth in that. In this call, if you've signed up by a week from now, then you're going to get to start to dream about this program and ask for specific resources. You're going to actually, like, the what's working, what's not working, what needs to change is going to inform some of the resources that go into this living library. You're also going to get a chance to get to know the other folks who are joining you on this adventure. You can ask, hold on. Excuse me. You can also get your questions answered if there's like stuff that's in the way, that's like poking at you and you're like, how am I going to work on this hurdle, or this roadblock is in the way, or I don't even know what I want this to look like. We can talk about that stuff too. You can get some feedback from me, but also from the other people in the group to help you set your intentions going into this 6-month container that we're going to be spending together. You're going to get to hit the ground running on this empowerment experience. And as I mentioned, we do have that pay in full bonus. I just want to make sure people know I've had a couple people take advantage of that for recent Empowerment Studio experiences, and they're loving saving $600. So that's really great. And I love treating you in that way. So that's really special. Um, wow, I'm so excited, y'all. I'm so pumped. So there's like good stuff happening here. I do have room for some FAQs. I'm going to circle back to this in just a second because I am going to open up the chat for our live attendees if there's any questions. So go ahead and pop those in the comments right now if there's any questions that you have. But in the meantime, I wanted to let you know how you can sign up for this, okay? Now you can go to empowermentphotographer.com/experience. And that is going to take you, let's see, I'm hoping I can just share that tab as well. Let's find out. Here we go. I'm going to just stop presenting for just a moment. And I'm going to bring you over to the website, which is still in progress. This is a very evolving brand new experience. I have been co-creating it with the people who are going to be signing up and who have already signed up. So this is literally being built from what people are asking for and what people said they would find some value in. But if you go to empowermentphotographer.com/experience, you will see what all is involved, what's all included, a bunch more information about, what the session is that's going to be styled, and how we're going to go about the co-creation. We've got details about the living content library and the group photo shoot experiences. We're going to have, oh, you know what? I didn't put this into the slideshow. Live group calls with optional one-on-one hot seats to problem solve, strategize, build connection, and grow in the direction you want to go. So that's really exciting. And then, so here, this is for the body liberation tier. And you can click here and it will literally take you to the payment processor where you can set up your own payment plan. You choose your down payment, and then it will split the additional remaining payments auto-charged for you to whatever payment method you put on file between now and September. So it'll spread it out over the next 8 months. If you do a $750 deposit now, then that will keep the payments all at exactly $750 a month. But you can also do less right now and give yourself a little bit of time to get your finances in order to start paying a little bit more next month, for example. If you want to pay in full, you can click right here, and that is your pay in full discount available to you. And then same goes with the community tier. So if this is what you are wanting to sign up for, then click this one here for the payment plan, or here. Or the pay in full discount is available here, and then reduced rate scholarships are available. So if finances are in your way, but you do want to be a part of this, reach out and see if you would be a good fit for applying. I would love to have you. So lots of other cool information here. This website's going to keep expanding and growing as the experience, continues growing as well. So yeah. Okay, I think I am back to my presentation now. Oh, I'm really excited, y'all. Can you tell? I think this is gonna be so cool. I think, it just feels like this is the culmination of everything that we've been doing over the last 11 years here. It feels like every time I've had a client who I'm like, oh, we are really doing things on another level. And this happens often with repeat clients or people who've been in the empowerment studio for a long time, who have been hanging out with us and practicing and selfieing with us. Their photo shoots just happen on another level. And every time that happens, I'm like, how can we offer this to someone who has not been hanging out with us for years, someone who has not already done another photo shoot with me before? How can we welcome this in a way that just really takes things to the next level and makes this experience incredible for them. So this feels like what? This feels right, and I'm excited. Okay, I'm going to check in on the comments really quick, and then I'm going to jump into these FAQs because I have a feeling these are going to be questions that a lot of people have. I wrote an I want list today after getting some things done finally. Love that, Ashley. This conversation about community just unlocked a powerful truth I didn't realize I didn't believe until just now. I am allowed to take up space in other people's lives. It's not just about taking up space yourself, is it? Ooh, I like that one. Anyone else notice Kinsey getting extra lit up talking about the empowerment experience? I really am. It's because this is aligned. It's because this is what's next. And I'm so excited to bring it to you all. Okay, let's dive into some FAQs. Okay, this is a big one. What if I live far away? Okay, well, here's the deal. We have options here with living further away. One, well, okay, we got to talk about empowerment. If you come in for the body liberation experience, right? Hang on, I need another sip. My water ran out, but luckily I still have some wine right here. Please hold for my needs to be met. You know, a few years ago, I wouldn't have done that. I would have just been thirsty because I thought that's what I was supposed to do, is like not be a person who had needs. Turns out it's better to wet your whistle when you need to. All right, let's dig in. What if I live far away? So if you are interested in the body liberation experience, which involves the big full photo shoot, we have two options. One, tons of my clients travel in. In 2023, I need to make a list, but like I had 2 clients in from Massachusetts, 1 from North Carolina. Oh boy, I never remember state names. Someone came in from Vermont, 2 people came in from Texas. People travel in for empowerment studio sessions all the time. I have recommendations on neighborhoods. I will probably send you to a couple different restaurants based on, like, I love Kansas City. I would love to welcome you here. So you can always come in for your big photo shoot. Another option is, if you would like to pay for my travel, I can come to you and we can do, because this is not like a in-studio boudoir session necessarily. This can be done on location wherever you are. So if you want me to come to you, or you want us to meet at some mutual third place, because that's where your dream photo shoot needs to happen, like, you will be responsible for additional travel expenses. So it would be a little bit extra cost. But I'm down. If your dream photo shoot experience involves you being photographed by the Eiffel Tower in France, not only will I meet you there, but I will find the best clip for us to eat, and we will enjoy amazing Parisian food together. Let's go on an adventure. So if you live far away, no big deal. You can either travel to me, I can travel to you. Those are options. If you are considering the community tier and you live far away, again, totally down to have you come and visit in person for, like, when we plan ahead and are doing a group photo shoot and empowerment party. So you can come and do that one in person. And then we're going to have other events that are going to have either like a hybrid virtual component or are going to be entirely virtual. So we're going to really do everything we can to accommodate and make sure that this is something that is available to people no matter where you are. I was talking with my coach about creating this program, and she's like, I think one of the coolest things about this is that you are opening up the Empowerment Studio experience to people who can grow and flourish from it without setting foot in the empowerment studio. And that's true. I also, this is so funny because I was so resistant to the idea when it first like came up, but early days of the pandemic, I started doing remote boudoir sessions. I was photographing people through Zoom, and they're like a really interesting challenge, right? Like the resolution is different and the editing that's needed for it is a really different experience. But I just looked back through some of the photos that we made and I was like, holy cow, these are incredible. So if you really cannot travel in and you still want to have the experience of being photographed by me, we can do that remotely. We can create some really, really epic work together. So pish posh to that barrier. We gotcha. Come and do the thing with us. If you book the Body Liberation Experience, when will your session take place? The entire photo shoot experience, from conceptualization to planning, photo shoot, the experience of receiving your photos, and any like product that you might want. That is all going to happen within the 6-month container. So we can decide when the right time is for you to come in and do your session within the 6 months. I'm thinking most people are going to want to do their sessions in months like 3 and 4, probably. But we've got options, we can be really flexible and we can figure out, what if you're like, oh, I need a sunflower field. Well, we can push it to the start of September, or you really want spring flowers. Let's do it in April, the very first month that we start. We have a lot of flexibility. This is the beauty of co-creating a photo shoot experience, is that we get to decide. But what I really like about this being within the container of the 6 months is that then the community that we're creating, this group cohort experience, they are going to be along this journey with you. They're going to be there ready to celebrate your photos with you if you want to share them. You are going to get the chance to be really supported in this photo shoot experience. So it's all going to take place within those 6 months, but we have a lot of flexibility. What if I don't want to do boudoir? Well, funny, I think everything is boudoir these days. But I get it. Like you're saying, you don't want to do lingerie or, be naked in your photos or anything. That's cool. This is whatever we want it to be. I love boudoir. I've been photographing it for 11 years now, but alongside of that, I have been photographing glamour sessions, headshots, portraits. I used to live in Savannah, Georgia, and I just would run around with people out in the trees with clothes on. I love any version of photography that makes you look and feel beautiful, like how I see you, is my jam. And as long as it's me and another human or a couple or couples or whatever, I can see you and I can photograph you really beautifully. I'm really good at lighting. I love a lighting challenge. I've got all my flash setups and everything. We can do whatever we want, wherever we want. Let's get creative. Let's go. Okay, what if I really, really, really want to do this, but even with the payment plan, the monthly amount is too much? This is a great question. 2 things. One, consider the community tier and consider that we have scholarships available. Those bring the price for the community tier down to $2,000, which makes the monthly payments $250. So that's much different than $750, right? So that's one potential option. If that is even too much for you, I hear you. That's allowed. Capitalism is a butt face. So we have options there as well. One, the main thought that I'm having is we could get you enrolled in our next empowerment experience cohort. We could get you enrolled in the next one that we're launching, and we could start you on a prepayment plan for that right now. So instead of an 8-month payment plan, we could stretch this into 12 months or, even 14 months or something like that. And hopefully that would help make it a little bit more digestible. Cool. Do I have to share my photos from my sessions? No, but you're probably going to want to. But absolutely not. This is not a full model release signed experience. If you do want to share your photos on a more public scale, I will obviously be delighted to get to show you off and brag about how awesome you are and the amazing work that we've made together. I'm always thrilled, but there's no pressure here. That's why I do model calls, is so that I have images with model releases signed so that I can share those images to market my business. So no pressure whatsoever. if you are not feeling like you want to go particularly public with your photos, but you do want to share them, that's what this community is going to be an amazing space for. You can be like, oh my gosh, I just got my photos back. I want to show them. I don't want to show them publicly. And I only want to show them to like one of my friends, but also here's this group of amazing humans right here that I've been building rapport with for months already. Here are my photos, right? And especially if we come together and do a group empowerment experience, like an empowerment party, and everyone's being photographed together, it's going to be so fun to like everyone can share the photos of themselves from during that session. So I think that's an amazing offer or opportunity as well. But no pressure. You don't have to share anything that you don't want. Consent is royalty around here. And what if I'm not photogenic? Are you really sure I can do this? Okay, listen, that's my favorite kind of human is what I love proving people wrong. I love when someone thinks they're not photogenic because they always are like, oh, wow, actually, I'm really beautiful in photos. Turns out, like, yeah, because you're a beautiful human. You're in great hands. I've been doing this for 11 years, over 11 years now, and I've photographed over 500 people. It's probably over 600. I don't even know. I don't know. So many people. I have so much experience photographing humans in all different states of mind and physical bodies and like outcome desires for their sessions. I am capable of meeting you where you're at. And I see you. I see how beautiful you are. And all my goal is to create photos that look like how I see you so that I can show you this version of you. That's what I want to do. And I can do that with everyone because I see people really beautifully and I'm a really good photographer. So I will absolutely create this magic for you. Okay, let me see if there's, Stacy. Okay, I have a story, and this was shared with permission. I asked Stacy if I could share it. So I was filling Stacy in, and about the empowerment experience, and I was like, Stacy, I have a feeling this is going to be a great fit for you. Can I fill you in on it? And like, will you tell me what you think? And I said, group container, and we're going to work together, and also you're going to get to create your dream photo shoot where you get to do, be photographed in any context. Like we get to co-create together. And she lights up and goes, cat sanctuary, cat cafe. And immediately was just like, oh my, and I was like, oh yeah, obviously we're going to the cat cafe, Stacy. That's what we're going to do together. So, that was really a beautiful moment of like this immediate deep knowing of like, oh, I know what this needs to be. It is going to be me with a bunch of cats everywhere, obviously. Oh, you all did a heart explosion. Can you all hit the heart at the same time? Everyone do it at the same time. Yeah, explosion, explosion. Yes. Oh, happy hearts, happy hearts. That's nice. Janelle said, this is so beautiful. I love the way that you are helping people show up for themselves and seek healing. Thank you. It's a really interesting thing because I think I used to be like, oh, it's photography. Like we're just taking pictures of people. And then I've been forced to reconcile with the fact that it's so much more than that. I've watched it happen so many times that now I have to say, okay, yep, this is real. We are changing people's lives here. People seeing themselves, learning how to take up space is really taking this to another level. And then they are more full and more whole. And then they're going off and like living their lives in really big, beautiful ways. People who come out of their photo shoots and then a month later they'll text me and they'll be like, oh yeah, so I just bought a house because it just fell into my lap because of I'm feeling so aligned right now. Or I finally got divorced because I've been wanting to do that for forever and I finally got the confidence. Or I mean, who knows, right? Like, and it's not all like because of the photo shoot, but like it's not because of the photo shoot. Big things are happening here, y'all. Some big adventures. All right, I am going to wrap us up with one final question in the comments that I saved for last, unless anyone else has anything else that they need to say. But y'all head on over to empowermentphotographer.com/experience and join me. We've got 2 people who I think are going to turn their prepaid boudoir package credit into them being part of this experience. And we have 1 person who just signed up this morning, which I'm so excited about. So there's going to be a good group already. This is going to be really fun. I can't wait to see who joins us. Okay, if the empowerment experience is a Jeremy Bearimy, what's the dot on the I? I would like to get some crowd responses for that one. What do you think? Giggle butt. That's my answer. The first time that someone is photographed, here, I'll stand up and I'll show you. People do the pose where they're like this, and then I say like, okay, now tilt your chin this way, now look down this way, now look at your butt and laugh, and people are like I'm like, no, it's a funny butt, and then they're like ha, and then I'm like, that's your very first empowerment studio giggle butt. So, I think that's the I, the dot of the I for Jeremy Bearimy is giggle butt. I feel good about that one. All right, y'all. This was wonderful. Thank you all so much for being here. I love you all so much. Let's do empowerment experience together. Mwah.